All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. So, today we are going to be talking about what I'm going to call the brand new meta Arcane that a lot of people are going to start using because it rivals Energize in terms of just how good it is. And for those of you that don't know, Energize, I would say, is probably the single best and most sought after Arcane in the game. With that, for those of you that don't know why Energize is good, we're going to talk about Energize first and why we've used it for so long, and then we're going to get into the new Arcane. Feel free to use the scroll bar at the bottom if you want to just skip this bit, if you know why Energize is good. But Energize is an Arcane mod for your Warframe. So you have to put it in one of your Arcane slots for your Warframe, and it has this effect. On energy pickup, 10% chance to replenish 25 energy to self and allies within 5 meters. 15-second cooldown. That's it at unranked. And at max rank on energy pickup, you have a 60% chance to replenish energy, 150 energy to self and allies within 15 meters, 15-second cooldown. So this basically takes it to 60% of the time. Instead of getting 25 energy from an energy orb, you get 175 energy instead, which is a considerable increase because you go from being able to cast your one off of one energy orb to being able to cast your one, your 4, and your 2 all off of one energy orb, provided, of course, your Warframe has like the classic scheme of energy costs being 25, 50, 75, 100. That is pretty major, and it's a huge amount of energy income that you would not otherwise be getting. And bonus, it affects allies, so you're also assisting anyone near you. That part, honestly, usually doesn't really come up, but when it happens, obviously other people are going to somewhat unknowingly appreciate that. So this has been the thing that kind of fixes the energy economy for a lot of Warframes, and also has been one of the catalysts, I'd say, for people who are like switching into other schools. They say Naramon for like if you're using Baruch or Korra to get that different like melee modifier, so you can keep that combo up really easily. Energize is part of what enables those frames to go that way and still have a solid energy economy where you can't just, as easily get unlucky with energy drops and then just be out of energy and be dead. So that's what Energize has been for and why Energize has been good. And recently, if you did the Nightwave, you got 3 Energize for free, which gives you your rank 1 right away, which has been very, very good. 20% chance to get an additional 50 energy is still fantastic, and if you don't have a lot of other Arcanes, probably is going to be your obvious choice as to what to equip on every single Warframe in the game. So what can compete with this? Well, the thing that can compete with this, turns out, is an Operator Arcane that is brand new with the update. This is Emergence Dissipate, and I was recently testing it at lower ranks, but this is, I would say, the brand new hotness. So even at unranked, this is press left click or fire, for those of you on consoles, to dissipate the endpoint of a void sling in a 7.5 meter radius. Enemies hit have a 50% chance to create a short-lived void mote that replenishes 5 energy on pickup. So what this means, we are going to show it in a mission and talk about the ways that you can use this fast and effectively. What this essentially means is that any enemy, including stuff like Eidolons and Vomvalis, which is very important for that Eidolon farm, is going to be able to give you energy. Now, at unranked, it is a 50% chance, and I gotta say, if you can only get your hands on one of these, and you're a relatively new player, I would definitely tell you to do so, because if you can use your Operator effectively, this is going to be an insane amount of energy that you're just always going to have access to as long as there are a couple of enemies around. It does not have to be that many to be a significant amount of energy, especially if you're on an efficiency build and sometimes just need an emergency supply. But it scales up to max rank, which is the endpoint in a 10 meter radius with a 100% chance to create a short-lived void mote that replenishes 10 energy on pickup. At max rank, these void motes, short-lived means 10 seconds, which is really not bad at all. So that means if you hit 5 enemies, you guaranteed get 50 energy. And hitting 5 enemies within a 10 meter radius, especially if we're talking about the Steel Path, is absolutely trivial. And if you're a Warframe that has any access to a grouping ability, you're going to get way better than a refund on that ability whenever you use this alongside it. And this can be spammed. This ability can very, very easily, albeit with considerably higher effort than Energize, generate hundreds of energy just in moments. And it is absolutely incredible, and I think definitely the best Arcane in this update. Now, as for how you get Emergence Dissipate, you have two options. Your first option is that this can drop from Thrax enemies on the Zaramon or Angels on the Zaramon. Those will have a higher drop rate in Steel Path, and their drops are also affected by mod drop chance boosters. So, farming in Cascade is very good, or if you want something easier than Cascade, if you're having to do public lobbies and those are failing, the Thrax actually appear very often in mobile defense. You actually get a pretty high amount of Thrax in mobile defense, so if you want a more comfy run that's going to be a lot easier, and maybe that you can also, fight the Angel and search for Void Plumes and such like that, I actually have found mobile defense to be a pretty good option for that. So if you want to farm it that way, you absolutely can do that. And if you're a new player, that's probably going to be your main option. However, if you are ready to get all of your farm done for the Zaramon and get to max rank, these are also available at max rank through the Zaramon Syndicate. So you can get them for 10,000 standing apiece, which means if you are a very high MR player, I'm MR I'm Legendary 2 status, which is above MR 30. You can get maximum 3 of these a day, and in order to get a rank 5 one, you need 21 copies of this. So they're not going to be in an insane supply, and already on Warframe.market, if you go through there, they are running, they were 10 plat yesterday whenever I picked up the last few that I needed, and I think they're like 20 plat now. So if you want them, they're not going to be extremely accessible. However, when you compare it to the prices of Energize, which usually runs anywhere between like 60 and 80 per copy, it becomes extremely affordable comparatively. So there's also that to consider. The other thing to consider is that if you use this, it means you're not going to have access to other operator arcanes like Lockdown. Lockdown being the major one. I've found that, at least for the Zaramon content, Lockdown is not very useful, but you'd probably still want to run it in like Disruption. But that's enough of that. Let's go show how this thing works in an actual mission. However, before that, I have a few tests that I want to show, which is just this in the simulacrum, showing how it is at completely unranked, just one single copy, at rank 3, which is the halfway point where you need 10 copies of it, and then, of course, at max rank where you need the full 21 copies of this Arcane in order to use it at full power. We will also, while I'm showing like the tricks and stuff on how to use it, be using it at full power just so you can see that there. So, enjoy that stuff, and then I'll see you back for a mission where we talk about how to use it. Okay, here we are in a very early game mission. We're on Mercury, I believe it is. And we're going to talk about how to use Void Sling with our Emergence Dissipate. Because a lot of people don't even know how to use Void Sling, and this is an addition to using Void Sling. So, first and foremost, in order to use Void Sling, there's 2 ways to do it, one being better than the other for actual distance, and that is that you can jump and then double jump. And by double jump, I mean jump and then hold jump in order to fire your endpoint out and then go to it whenever it reaches its max distance. You can use this to just zip around and use Void Sling this way. In order to use Emergence Dissipate, what you have to do is that while you are sending out your endpoint, you left click. And you can see it kind of dissipate whenever I do that. And that is Dissipate activating, and any enemies within the AoE will give me energy based on the percentage chance, of course. At max, it is 100% chance. Now, the other way to do this is the old inputs for void dashing, which is to say you hold crouch, and then when you press jump, you will still get the endpoint that comes out. I will say that this is a bit easier to spam if you really need an absolute ton of energy, because if you do it the other way, you have to like double jump and then like keep firing the endpoint like this. However, if you just simply crouch, you can do left jump and then left click really fast and generate a ton of energy. Do note that even when you dissipate it in the bottom right, you do lose energy. So this will also benefit from having the Zeneric waybounds, as you're going to be able to do it more times because you'll have more operator energy to spend on activating it. With that, let's go find just like one guy to show like about how much energy you can get doing that style. So here's one dude. All right, before he died, that's just straight up 40 energy right there. Obviously, the cat is taking them down very easily, but even against one enemy, you can just spam it out, and it can be a very considerable amount of energy.
Heads up. A Grenier assault team is headed your way.
Like right there, like I mean, that's a bunch of energy. Like it's honestly tons. Also, I accidentally killed that guy, I believe. And if you even get like two enemies, like these two should be within radius. Like that was 60 energy right there. Like even two guys using a max rank one of these is just absolutely insane. And you do not need massive groups. But the moment you hit like a group of like 10 guys, a group of 10 enemies, which is not very much on Steel Path, is 100 energy by itself. Like this is like that was just like, you know, 30, 40 energy right there. Just on like those few guys, and it's really not hard at all to get this to generate really quickly whenever you just need to be able to cast your abilities. Just generate an absolute ton of energy. I also had Energize on there, so 175 of that was not from this, but yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal, and I think that the amount of energy that you can produce is certainly worth it, because, you know, you can't always count on Energize to give you energy, because you're not going to get orbs 100% of the time. But with this, as long as there is an enemy, you have energy guaranteed, as long as your operator does, I guess. But they regenerate energy on their own. Also worth noting is that these orbs also can be picked up by the operator. So if you're using the energy for this, these orbs will also replenish your operator energy. And you can use that to use it on groups and then dash through them. And that will replenish the fuel that you use for dashing. Similar to how it would refill whenever you dash through an enemy whenever you are slinging. But yeah, that's also a consideration if you are going really long distances. But yeah, that's Void Sling with Emergence Dissipate. It is absolutely an insane amount of energy that you can generate. And I think that this is going to be used by many, many people going forward, probably in favor of Lockdown most of the time. Anyway, that is going to do it for the video today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow.